Hello, everyone, and welcome to my CSU channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Todd Chrisley dropping his appeal in defamation lawsuit. Todd Chrisley has gone through several legal troubles over the past year. It has gotten to the point where he has finally relented on one of the lawsuits he was involved in. Chrisley has reportedly dropped an appeal he had filed in a defamation lawsuit. Here is what you need to know about the lawsuit Chrisley dropped and what it means. Todd Chrisley drops defamation lawsuit appeal. During the initial investigation, Todd Chrisley attacked Department of Revenue investigator Amy Doherty Hines on social media and said the investigation was illegal and improperly motivated. Doherty Hines sued Chrisley for defamation. Like with most of his legal problems, Todd lost this lawsuit. In April, the federal judge found Chrisley guilty of 1 count of libel and 1 count of slander. The jury awarded Doherty Hines compensatory damages of $350,000 plus punitive damages of $170,000 and attorney's fees, totaling about $755,000 in overall damages. Chrisley appealed the decision. However, he has since voluntarily dropped the appeal via WSB-TV2. The dropping of the appeal is pursuant to the joint stipulation of the parties to dismiss. While Todd has dropped his appeal against the Doherty Hines decision, Todd and Julie Chrisley are still appealing their conviction in the bank fraud and tax evasion case. Todd and Julie Chrisley lose even more money. Todd and Julie Chrisley also just lost a $30,000 trust held in Alabama. A federal judge ordered that they turn over that money to help pay the $17 million judgment following their guilty verdict. The judge said the couple could respond to the order, but when they didn't, he ordered the money to be turned over by the law firm. The Chrisleys were found guilty of committing tax evasion and defrauding banks out of over $30 million in loans. Julie was also found guilty of obstruction of justice and wire fraud. They were sentenced to 12 years, Todd, and 7 years, Julie, in prison. Todd is set to be released on November 23, 2032, and Julie on August 20, 2028. This is 2 years early for Todd and 14 months earlier for Julie. The Chrisleys said that an Internal Revenue Service officer lied on the witness stand about how much money the defendants owed the IRS at the time of their trial. However, the federal judge refused to hold a hearing on those allegations. The couple's attorney said they didn't owe any money to the IRS at the time of the trial, but the revenue officer was told to lie on the stand. U.S. Assistant Attorney Annalise Peters said that whether or not any taxes were owed at the time of the trial was immaterial to any element to any charge in this case. Via AOL.com, the morning sunlight spilled through the tall windows of Todd Chrisley's Nashville rental, catching dust motes that shimmered like flecks of gold. It was quiet, eerily quiet for a man who'd built an empire on loud declarations, witty clapbacks, and bravado. But today wasn't a day for bravado. Today, Todd's phone buzzed with a single notification that would redefine the next chapter of his already turbulent life. He'd officially dropped his appeal in the long-running defamation lawsuit. And for the first time in a long time, Todd Chrisley felt the weight of finality. A decision no one saw coming. Family insiders whispered that Todd had been wrestling with the decision for weeks, pacing back and forth inside his home like a caged lion. His legal team had laid everything out: the cost, the risk, the emotional toll, the scrutiny that only intensified each year. And the truth was simple: even if it was uncomfortable, continuing forward could drag on for years. Todd Chrisley was no stranger to legal battles, but this one cut deeper. This wasn't about tax records, government agencies, or complicated financial webs. This was about words he believed had tarnished his reputation, damaged his livelihood, and placed his family in the line of fire. But now he was choosing to let it go. Not because he suddenly agreed with his critics, or because his confidence had dimmed. It was because, as Savannah would later put it, Dad finally realized peace is more expensive than pride. Inside the Chrisley camp, shock, support, and strategy. When Savannah Chrisley received the call from her father, she was mid-recording for her podcast. She paused the mic, stepped into her kitchen, and listened to Todd explain his decision in a voice that was steady but soft. What changed?
Savannah asked.
Todd exhaled. I think I'm done letting other people write the story for me. I want to live it, not litigate it. To Savannah, that was both heartbreaking and empowering. She'd watched her dad fight every battle like it was life or death. She'd stood beside him when the headlines grew vicious, when the internet's judgment felt relentless, and when he refused to bend under the pressure. But now the man she'd always known as fierce, loud, meticulous, and stubborn was choosing a different path, one rooted in surrender, not defeat. Chase, meanwhile, had a different reaction. He slammed the truck door the moment he heard the news. We've come this far, Dad. Why stop now? He said during the family call. Because sometimes, Todd replied, the story ends better when you stop trying to rewrite the chapter. The public reaction, divided, loud, and predictable. Social media exploded within minutes. Some fans applauded Todd's decision. Finally, a fresh start. Finally, a man prioritizing peace over chaos. Others insisted he'd caved under pressure. Rumors swirled. Claims bubbled. Conspiracy-like speculation took over comment sections. Todd knew this would happen. Savannah knew this would happen. Even the family's longtime attorney knew this would happen. But somehow, this time, the noise felt quieter. Maybe because Todd understood something he hadn't before. The world was going to talk no matter what. People who wanted him to fail would always find a reason. People who believed in him would always cheer. What mattered now was his own narrative, and the health of the family that had weathered every storm thrown their way. A quiet moment of reflection. That evening, Todd stepped outside onto his small patio, overlooking a patch of Tennessee sky-colored purple and fiery orange. It reminded him of Atlanta sunsets, the ones he used to watch from the balcony of the home he'd once called the peak of his success. A lot had changed since then. There were moments he wondered if he'd ever reclaim the life he lost, the power, the money, the comfort, the show, his freedom. And yet, in the quiet flicker of the evening light, Todd realized something profound. Maybe he wasn't supposed to reclaim it. Maybe he was meant to build something new. He closed his eyes, letting the cool wind brush his face. For the first time in what felt like years, his shoulders lowered. His breathing steadied. There was no court date looming, no appeal deadline ticking, no expectation to win or fight. Just stillness.
And peace.
Julie's voice in the background. Though physically apart, Julie's influence was everywhere. Todd had spoken to her earlier that morning, and she'd responded with her signature grace. If dropping it gives you freedom, she said gently, then maybe that's the victory God wanted for you.